Hi, so welcome back everybody to the Travel Collective. And today we're going to talk to April about her New England tours. She's getting ready to go on one now, but we want to just find out more about it, April. So welcome.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me in, asking me about New England.
Yeah, let's talk about it. We don't often get to talk to each other about our own trips. So
Right.
let's talk about New England and where we go when we go. New England is a big place. So where are some of the places we go to when we go on a New England tour?
When I take people on the New England tour, I always go in autumn. So that's an important factor in the tour. And even though I offer different tours based on the date, say it's the first week of October, we're literally just shifting if we're covering. I tend to focus on Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and
Okay.
maybe Massachusetts. Occasionally gets thrown in there, but literally it's to take advantage of the change of seasons and the fall colors. So depending on which week it is, we're just going to shift northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, always a little bit of the southern Maine coast. And if it's another trip, we just shift. We shift a
Okay.
little further south to follow the color.
To follow the color. And obviously, I was going to ask what the focus or the purpose of the trip. It is to follow the color, but do you have anything else to add with that?
Oh, yeah, it's to share all of the wonderful activities of fall, whether it's walking through the leaves or trying cider donuts or having a lobster roll. So it's a lot of a food influence in New England, but also the history. I really take advantage of taking people and staying in places that are locally owned, historic inns, bed and breakfast that are, someone's converted a farmhouse. Maybe it's an old roadside tavern from the Revolutionary era where they had, food on the bottom level, and then they had a few rooms for the weary. I mean, travelers were travelers even in the
Right?
1700s and the 1600s. So I really focus on immersing people in the entire New England experience, not only just focusing on what we see with our eyes, but what we feel, what we taste, all of it.
Okay, fantastic. And so then who is this trip for? Who are your guests that usually come?
The guests that usually come have an interest in the sites. I think it's a big portion of it, the visual photos they're going to return with, maybe the inspiration for a painting or be inspired. Last year, someone brought their little mini watercolors. And so at the end of each day, they were taking their photos from their cell phone and just creating. I think it's really creative. People are going to really enjoy the trip for all of the experiences, both visually and just, being in the place at the best time of year.
Yeah, yeah. And then how long is the tour? It sounds like you offer it multiple times. How long is it usually?
Each trip is 6 days, 6 nights, 7 days, excuse me. So they're each about a week long.
Okay, okay. And then how many people come on those trips?
I usually try to keep them around six so that we can all travel in one vehicle together.
Okay,
I think this year will be a first if I have eight, so we'll see how that goes. But
okay.
I like to keep it small again for that flexibility of,
Yeah,
if we come up down a country road, also the roads don't lend themselves to like car caravans. Like I know other photographers lead these car caravans. You can't have five cars following you around the roads in New England. And then at the last minute, I decide, oh, look at that scene over there. I'm
yeah.
going to pull off because literally some of the best scenics are the ones you discover on the little two-lane country roads where, these people are still trying to live. So,
Well, and animals, like I've pulled over just because, the
yeah,
kind of the makeup of the animals in the field is really
yeah.
kind of cool or whatever. And that's just like for that 5 minutes, you got to get it right
Yeah,
now.
you gotta like pull over now and get
Or
it
the
right.
sun is catching, like, yeah, I totally get that. And flexibility is really built in. I know I keep my trips small for the same reason. That's flexibility. And so then you talked a little bit about the lodging. Can you share a little bit more about the lodging and what's that like?
Yeah, everyone gets their own room when they take a trip with me because we spend so much time together as a group. And I know even for myself, a lot of artistic souls, we're a little bit introverted. So by the end of the day, we just need our time to kind of absorb what we enjoyed throughout the day. And to do that in your own room is super important, I feel like. But to be in the same place, we don't
Right.
have and again, to try to be in places that are local to the area. I think it adds to the entire experience.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, like I said, these are historic inns or farmhouses. We have then property to explore. We can have a shared warm, hot breakfast and have an area if we want to communicate together or, share
Right.
at the evening. So,
Yeah. That sounds amazing. And then what are some of the, just give us a couple, you've already shared some of the highlights, but give us a couple of highlights from the New England.
yeah, a lighthouse, covered bridges, just the farms. A lot of them are postcard scenics, I call them. Once you
Uh,
see the scene, you see that the photo's been used on your checkbook images. I mean, that's where some of those classic New England images come from. You'll recognize them once you walk into them.
Right. Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. New England sounds amazing. The fall colors, of course, something you don't want to miss. And we'll hear more from you. And if you want to check out her tours, you can find them on the-travelcollective.com. And we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks, April.
Thanks, Cindy.
Mhm.